Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Next Level Real Talk Podcast, where we have conversations on the journey of personal transformation and the pursuit of lasting peace and happiness with Sheldon and David. And welcome to another episode of Next Level Real Talk Podcast with Sheldon and David. Hey, David, how are you doing?
Doing great out there. How you doing? How was your week?
Good. We are jumping into the holiday season here
Here it
full
is.
time. So,
Yep.
just
Lots of energy. Could
lots
be
of
positive,
energy.
could be negative. So hopefully you're hanging in there.
Yeah.
And then real quick, because we got Sheldon's got a little story he wants to talk about, which kind of leads into our whole, idea of today. But let's do my teacher thing and review.
Yes.
So last week we were talking
Students, have you
about
reviewed your homework?
yes, students.
Please pass it
turn
into
your
the
hand.
right,
Exactly.
down and to the right.
Remember the old mimeograph? Yeah. We talked about spotlight syndrome. I talked about my nephew Dustin Smithers. Shout out to Dustin. Talked about that with me about the spotlight syndrome,
Yeah.
and we told you, catch yourself. Are you in that spotlight syndrome where you think everything's about you? Like you're in the grocery store and like everybody's looking at me. Well, no, they're not. They're looking at their stuff.
Yeah.
They think you're looking at their stuff, and
Yes.
so it's a whole. And we said, hopefully, you can catch yourself in that. I wonder why do I think that? Kind of process a little bit, not overthink it, and then just enjoy where you are rather than think that you're the only one in that situation because you're not. So just enjoy the whole process. So I caught
Everything in
myself a
our
couple times.
almost
Yeah.
everything we always talk about ends up coming down to that whole idea of being more present, right? Being in
Yes.
the moment so that because your head is always tripping out about other things and just really relaxing all of that so that you can be right where you are and enjoy
Mhm.
that moment that you're experiencing right then. And you
Yeah.
can't when you're in your head tripping out, whether you're
No.
worried about tomorrow or whether you're mad about yesterday, right?
Mhm.
That's
And
everything we talk about. Really, you summarize it into that whole thing about are you present? Are you there?
yeah, and for me, a real quick scenario this week, just driving to school. Okay, driving into work. Um, Not that it was all about me. It's just you get so it's intense. You're driving, you're thinking
Yeah.
about this and that. Where's everybody? Which yes, I was paying attention to the road, so don't go there. So it's just sometimes we focus too much on it.
Yep.
So it wasn't a spotlight on me, just focusing on too much of the road.
Yeah.
And I started like going, okay, yeah, I'm driving, but let's relax.
Yeah.
And I'm saying like, oh, I don't remember that building being there, or that building's changed, or wow, that's over there. Not that it's like, oh, all of a sudden the world has changed. No, just like, wow,
Started
enjoy the
noticing things.
drive.
You
Yeah,
notice
enjoy the
things.
drive. Yeah. My
That's
AD
cool.
talking about it, he's like, yeah, I had to go home. By the time I got out of this, got out of that, it's going to be an hour and a half ride. He goes, because I got a cup of coffee. He said, okay, just enjoy the ride home. I'm like, enjoy the ride. That's a concept.
Yeah.
Because we get into this race mode or gotta get home mode or gotta go to work mode, gotta go here mode. It's like, no, just wherever you're going, give yourself time
Yep.
and go enjoy what's around.
You know what?
So,
We talked about that before, right? About noticing how you're driving, right? What was it?
mhm.
What
Yep.
was the exercise was about how present you were, or something like that, or
Yeah,
about judge.
because you're judgment, because you're like, oh, they're cutting me off, they're doing this. It's like, well, what's going on with them today? Maybe
Yeah,
they were
yeah,
maybe this person's going slow. Well, maybe they're thinking about the divorce or the death in a family or finances or
yeah.
something just got them slowing down in life. Or maybe they decided I'm gonna slow down today. And so
Noticing what
we get
comes up
angry with other people.
while you drive
Yeah.
is a
hmm
very interesting.
What's
Um,
it was what's in your cup. It
yeah,
was the episode of
yeah,
what's in your cup.
yeah.
Is it
What's
over?
coming out while you're
Yeah.
driving, right? Because what's in
Yep.
your cup when you're driving? Because that can be different than the other places. It's really weird, but
hmm
sometimes when people get behind their wheel, they're different.
Yeah.
You
Different
know
person.
you
Yep.
know, there's
And
a
your
part
cup.
of that person that comes out in
Yeah.
the driving, like an intensity or whatever.
hmm
Um, I
And
remember I
it's
had a
not.
friend, a guy.
And we're talking about what's in the cup. We're not talking about half empty, half full. That's not
Yeah,
what we're talking. We're talking
yeah,
about what is in there. Is it anger?
yeah,
Is it the happiness, or what's in your cup is what's in your heart?
yeah.
And so, where are you at that moment? So, yeah.
I met a guy when I worked at the internet company. He was a big, big dude, just a stocky, big, burly guy. Gentle soul, soft spoken, quiet demeanor. Everything about that guy was gentle till he got behind his car and then drove like a maniac, like aggressive, just tailing people, cutting, moving, changing lanes, just pissed off. I mean, it was wild. You're just like, huh,
Wow,
but if you got out of his car, he was a completely different person.
wow. Wow.
So that's
It's
what we
just
were talking
something
about
that's
that.
yeah.
What's it? So these are 2 homework summaries, right? We got into that. What's in your cup?
Yes. Yep.
But all of that about
So
bringing that idea of presence into the moment because you were saying you notice things on the road and,
yeah.
that you wouldn't have
Mhm.
before because maybe you were intense and focused, as you're
Yep.
driving along
Mhm.
and then all of a sudden you relax and you're just like, "Oh, wow, look at that. There's a beautiful building over there. Oh, this is cool." I didn't
Mhm.
realize that mountain was right next to the freeway or whatever, right, as you're driving
Yeah.
along.
Uh-huh.
And you're like,
Exactly.
"I've driven down this road a million times, didn't even realize. Is that new?" You
Right.
know?
And
You know?
even, like, the building was built, but I didn't know what companies were in that building. Like,
Yeah,
"Oh,
yeah,
that's the, company. Oh,
yeah.
I didn't know they had an office there."
Right.
Just like, just enjoying, so,
Yeah.
yeah. So as we move on, so
Mhm.
hopefully you've had 2 of those, and now you've had you can go back to that episode of the, "What's in your cup?" That's what it's
Yep.
called, and then last week was the spotlight syndrome, so
The
don't
spotlight syndrome, yeah,
think it's about you.
yeah.
Um, and so now we're gonna move into an episode where Sheldon has gone through some stuff, and
So
he's going to talk about some things. And remember, before we get started, make sure you like, share, and comment if you want
yep,
to
yep.
on these episodes because we love to hear it, and we love that people are sharing. We know that people are sharing out there, so uh, help those out that might have something to do with one of these, or
Yeah,
they might
definitely
see an
appreciate
episode and
that.
go back to the other episodes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
means a lot to
So
us, so appreciate that.
yep, it does.
Get rid of that banner now. Bing.
So
There we go.
the the so yeah, Sheldon, tell us about your cooking.
So
By the way,
so
Sheldon's a really good cook. He does great things with cooking,
so
but there's an
so
issue.
yeah, and we've mentioned all these concepts before
Mhm,
about, kinda lineage and, what your parents did will pass on to the kids. We've mentioned those things, but it's come up for me in a very kinda interesting way that I think we might have made reference to me getting traumatized or stressing out while I'm cooking, but I just thought we might kinda, uh, illustrate the whole story, right? And so it goes back to my mom. And so there's several concepts. One of them is this idea of healing and release, right? But the other is idea of what you don't release gets transferred down to your kids and through
mhm,
generations, right? That idea of if you haven't healed it, you will pass it on, and that's an energetic thing as far as I'm concerned. So my mom, she started. Her story was that she would always say this that she started cooking for the entire family. Her parents, her mom and dad, she would cook the entire dinner. So that was the food, the rice, the main course, the vegetables, everything. My mom was cooking an entire meal by 10 years old. She was fully capable of doing it. But she was also very harshly judged for it. Like her mother, the story was my grandma, if she thought the rice was overcooked or undercooked, she would backhand it off the dinner table, like, bam, this is bad, and just knock it onto the floor. Break the bowl, shatter the rice, the whole 9 yards. My mom would end up cleaning all that stuff up. So, and can you imagine a 10-year-old girl dealing with that, right? So, uh, my mom was a very good cook, as you know.
mhm.
Um,
She was awesome.
but there was a lot of trauma involved in how she became a good cook. And so in her later years of life, we found out she kind of had this weird anorexia thing going on. And she did that when we were kids and we'd be eating. She's like, "Oh, I was eating while I was cooking." So she wouldn't eat with us a lot of
Mhm,
times. Right. And then when she broke her back and she couldn't walk around. She would say, "I don't need to eat. I haven't done anything all day." So then you realize that when she was running around cleaning the house, doing her errands, in her mind, she was earning the right to eat. I burned enough energy to eat. So she
mhm.
had that. Have you ever heard anorexics will they go run 10 miles so they can eat food? You know what I mean?
Yep.
My mom
Mhm,
wasn't that extreme, but she definitely had those tendencies. But that trauma of this energy around food, I think she passed on to me. And I was
mhm.
unaware of that until, until Jacqueline and I got together because, of course, sometimes the right relationship is a relationship that pushes all your buttons. And
Mhm.
again, I believe in that idea that it's not happening to you, it's happening for you. In other
Yeah.
words, she's pushing those buttons so I can see that I have a button that I need to clear.
Mhm.
And,
Yep.
clearing it through surrender, through,
And it happens in a loving way.
yeah, yeah,
Sometimes. Most of
sometimes.
the time. I should put
Yeah,
that.
it
Most
can
of
it
the time.
can happen either way, and it can happen
Mhm.
without, the other person even knowing, right? They're just there
Exactly.
doing their being themselves, and they're triggering you, right? That can absolutely happen. And so one of the ways was when we first were living together, and if I cooked for her, I got so intense and so filled with anxiety that it would burst out. Again, we've talked about this before, that one of the only energies that male men know how to express is anger, right?
Mhm.
So
Yep.
mine would get all and I would get all worked up and I'd get all intense, and next thing you know, I was yelling and screaming like, "Get out of here! Get the fuck out of here! Leave me alone!" And da, 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 I'm cooking, like literally
Mhm.
overcooking. Like, "Get out of here!" And like she's like, "Oh," and she's like trying to help or get involved or something like that, and then I would
Just to be help with you, be around you,
and
be nice.
I
"Hey, let's do this
would
together." Nope.
freak out. I mean, freak out, like yelling, screaming. We've gotten in arguments over me just trying to cook dinner, and I would get so worked up. And so obviously, over the years, I knew that was me, not her, right? I mean, I think
Mhm.
that was so obvious that it was pretty clear it wasn't her fault that I was freaking out, you know what I mean? Like, sometimes you can't tell, like, "Well, why did you say that?" Blah, 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 and then it becomes this finger pointing thing where it's hard to know. Um, and then obviously with that kind of a thing, it was super obvious that, I was just being a dick for no reason or whatever, right? And
Mhm.
and so I would look at that and sort of just release it and sort of breathe into it. And so, one of the things that I think, again, from this point of healing, it's about healing, where you have to feel that energy in your body, and then you have to look at it with loving compassion, and then you can surrender or release it, and then the energy shifts and clears. But it also happens in layers. And so as years have gone by, the it, I no longer we wouldn't get in fights, or I wouldn't freak out like that. But what would happen, the manifestation of this whole thing that's still there, layers, it's not as bad as it used to be, but it's
Mhm.
still there, was I couldn't taste the food. Like, I would make something for her, and I would be so stressed out that when I was serving, "Here, do you try this?" "Here, blah, 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 dinner's ready," kinda thing. Just the most casual thing. This isn't a big deal, just me making dinner. And I'd sit down, and I could not taste it. Like, my taste buds were gone. Like, I'm like, "This doesn't taste like anything," and she'd be like, "Oh my god, it's delicious." And I would sit there, and then she would be like, and I'd be half the time, I'd be like, "Are you shitting me right now? Are you just full of it, right? This tastes like nothing. It's just I don't even this is terrible. It tastes like
And
nothing." It's just
and
like,
at the time,
"Whoa."
understand, he wasn't, with COVID, he wasn't with sickness. It was just his taste buds stopped because of the situation. So, yeah, so there wasn't anything external
Yeah.
that was going
It
on. So,
wasn't
yeah,
actually
yeah,
yeah, it wasn't actually me being sick or anything
yeah.
like that, and
Mhm.
it would just happen in this moment where my taste buds would, like, turn off, and I couldn't taste the food.
Yeah.
And then she'd tell me, "Oh my god, it's so good, blah, 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 blah," and she would say this, and half the time I wouldn't believe her, and then, uh, uh, most of the time what happens is I'd start crying. Like, she would tell
Is it a cry because you're upset, or a cry
it's
because
happening right now, like, I can't talk.
okay.
So it just there's this weird emotional well of stuff that just comes up. Whew. I can't even think about it. I think about it in my
Yeah.
head, and it just brings it all up. Um, I just start I have sat there over a dinner, and Jacqueline said, "Oh my god, this is so tasty," and I'll just start sobbing, crying. And then the weird thing is when that happens, I can taste it again.
Wow.
It's like, I can taste the food now. It's like, "Oh my god, it is tasty." And so, we
Is it
have gotten
is it needing the okay from her to say it's okay? Or is it the
yeah,
fear of not having being able to
fear of
cook good
not being good
food?
enough.
Which is like what your mom is doing when she got
Yes.
that rice cake.
Yeah.
Okay,
So, I think that
okay,
that's it, right? It's this that's how I look at it. There's this
okay.
transfer of trauma of, "Oh my god,
Uh-huh.
is that acceptable?" And
Is it okay for them?
you're waiting for the grade. You
Oh,
get an A+ on this, and then it's okay, now I can take a deep breath and relax. And then when I finally, okay, and I relax back into my body, it activates again, and now I can taste again.
wow, okay, interesting.
So, it's wild.
Yeah,
It is wild, and it's still happening, just so everybody
mhm,
knows. And these are layers, like, I'm not we can actually cook together. So the reason this has sort of been coming up is, on certain nights, if I cook something and I'm like, "Wow, that's really tasty," like, I say that to her before she's tried it and go, "This is pretty tasty." She knows I'm in a good space and I'm pretty, like, I'm like in the moment. I'm zenned out.
Mhm,
I'm not caught up in any kind of weird stuff coming up, that I'll be able to actually taste it and say something like that before I give it to her, and she says
mhm.
it's okay.
Oh, that's cool because she's recognized that. Like,
She
okay, he's
knows
saying
she knows, because it happens, like, it
one,
happened.
one, he can taste it. Two, he's talking about it.
Yeah,
We're going down the good road. Okay, let's
yeah,
just keep
like, he
going.
must be
Keep
in a
going.
good space right now. So, even when it seems like I'm fine, um, sometimes when she says stuff, yeah, I'll just react. Like, last night it
Mhm,
happened, I made some, uh, fajitas, some chicken fajitas, which, anyway, and she tried it, and she was like, "Oh, wow, this is really good," and I just sat there and I stopped eating, and I could taste it, but not fully, and when she said that, all of a sudden I could taste all the spices.
wow, that's a
Like, I
clicking
could
of the
taste that
brain.
it was okay, like, it was fine, like, I could eat
Mhm.
it. I had some sense of flavor.
It had a different taste after she said that.
Yes, 100%,
More of the
100%.
spice, more of the
And then when
flavor.
I recognized that,
Wow.
it I recognized, like, "Whoa," um, it it I had to stop eating and just sit there and kinda I didn't get a big sobby cry like,
Yeah.
uh, but I could feel the emotions coming up, and I just
Mhm.
have to sit there for a minute and let it come
And let
up.
it, which we talked about before. You gotta let these emotions go. Yes, he's in the
Yeah.
middle of dinner, but you don't wanna,
You
stop
can't
and,
block it. What you resist
let it come up.
persists,
Yep.
and
So
so there's a bunch of little stuff in the story, like, yeah, what you resist persists. You have to let it come up and through you. What you have to there was a saying, "What you have to feel it to heal it." So you have
mhm.
to allow your body to feel that thing, whatever it is, and,
And there's moments that you can't do it that moment. We understand that. That means when you get home or you get to a space, a spot where you can do it, then work through it. Yeah.
yeah,
So
unfortunately for me, I'll do it wherever the hell I am. It's weird. So, the cooking thing obviously happens, but I've cried in, a restaurant or in public or whatever. If it comes up
mhm,
for me, I can't stop it. And that's part of also, like, I think I've been really conscious about, I have to allow this stuff to come out, right? And so,
mhm.
yeah, you don't have to do that. You don't
All
have
right.
to do that, and most of us don't, but for me, it's just been part of my, like,
Mhm.
"Oh, fuck, here I go,"
Yeah. And it's n- not fighting it, knowing that it's there. I mean, the first time
yeah,
is probably like, what the heck is going on here?
yeah,
And it's like realizing, like, hey, this is something that I got is gonna come up. When it happens, I have to go
and
take a minute,
well,
breathe, and go, where's it at? Okay,
so
let it go.
I will say this, there's still not it's barely there, little tiny, but for years, decades, I would cry, and that voice would come through at some point even while I'm crying. There you go again, you fucking pussy."
Oh, wow.
I can't you there you go. Fuck, there you goddamn, there you go, you fucking, and it would happen even while I'm doing it, so I'm still letting it out, but those
Mhm.
little voices in your brain of habits,
If
of
you're not good enough,
patterns,
you're not,
of
yeah.
social conditioning, of all of that stuff about what it means to be a man, all that kind of stuff, they're still sometimes they'll float through, and they don't really very much anymore. That's what I was kinda saying. I haven't really heard that one, um,
Mhm.
um, recently, but I do think that that's part of this clearing, right? As you clear the
Yeah,
patterns and the habits and you don't pay attention to those things, then the energy goes, and then those voices in your head can kinda calm down and quiet out. So that's
yeah.
why, we talked about, that story when I was in the mission, and Jacqueline's like, "Hey, do you ever get triggered around here?" I'm like, "Yeah, I get triggered all over the place. I bought crack right there across the street. I smoked it right there in that driveway, and I was over there, and that hotel over there I used to party, and I bought my crack pipes and speed pipes right there, and so like I had triggers everywhere." And she's like, "Oh my god, freaking out!" I'm like, "I just don't pay attention to them. You know,
Mhm.
they come in your mind and you don't pay attention." So I think with the food thing and the crying thing, um, they would float through my brain, but I wouldn't pay a whole lot of attention to them. I was just like,
Uh-huh.
whatever. And it still took some time. It still takes time. Like, I'm not gonna say that those things have never come in my head while, having this emotional outburst, but, pretty small. Like, I honestly don't know that they've been there the last couple, for a while now, but,
Uh-huh.
um, if they do float through, it kinda cracks me up. I'm like, "Wow, there's still a layer of that thing in there." Which is fine, it's like it is what it is, right?
But but going through that now, there's less layers. I mean, it's not a well, the harsh layer is gone.
Yeah.
Yes, each layer is harsh, but I mean, that first layer was the harsh one because you're realizing it, and it's slowly pulling things away. So you're like, okay, this is where I am. This is
It
what's going to happen, or whatever, whatever.
yeah,
But
and
you've witnessed it, and you're okay with it,
yeah.
and that helps you process through it. So
Being able to bring the witness, which is witnessing what's happening within you. So you're almost like, and Michael Singer talks about being 3 feet back and above, right? Something like
mhm,
that, almost like
yeah,
outside of your body and witnessing.
hmm
I've never thought about it like that, be honest with you, but what have we have talked about all the time is that ability to witness what's coming up within your field of awareness, right?
yeah,
Whatever's in your mind, the thoughts are like clouds passing through the sky. You're the sky. You're this awareness, this vastness through which all this stuff is happening, right?
hmm
Um, so yeah, that happening and witnessing thoughts of, oh, drugs, or thoughts of you're such a wimp or you're a pussy or whatever, because you're crying, and all of those kinds of things, they do heal as you don't pay attention to them, right? They do heal, and then the layers get very tiny, so I
yeah,
would always talk about it. If you can bring that awareness into the middle of a really emotional traumatic experience,
hmm
you heal it faster because you're bringing conscious awareness. It's like bringing the light into the dark. You're bringing
hmm
consciousness and awareness, the ability to witness. You must become, as a child, the witness, the wonder. You can bring curiosity into a traumatic thing. There's a part of you going, wow, I'm really freaking out right now. Oh my God, like I'm bawling my eyes out or whatever's going on. That is this ability to kind of witness what's happening to you, and that is what allows you to heal, right? And that is
hmm
a form of, it's bringing the light, because consciousness is the light. So
and
that is,
and that's that transformation. We talk about that journey of
yeah,
personal transformation,
yeah,
and that's what this journey is. It's not okay. I fix it. I'm gone.
yeah,
No, it's a journey, people. It's going to take time.
yeah,
Like you, it's taken quite a while. One,
yeah.
to recognize, two, to process through it,
Remember, yeah,
and it's still there.
yeah,
So it's like it's not overnight, but know that's when we put on our little tagline. Sometimes it's the journey of personal transformation because it
yeah,
takes time to
yeah.
transform.
And
So
you do absolutely brings greater joy, right? Greater peace,
mhm,
greater joy,
mhm,
greater happiness to you. And it happens in layers, right? So this is kind of what we're trying to describe. Is the beginning, it was huge layers where I was like yelling and screaming. Then I was just, crying and freaking out. And now they're still there, but they're very thin.
yeah,
Um,
mhm,
like last night, it was like a minute, like I just sort of, whew, a little bit, not even, a little bit of like misty eyed almost, right? And
yeah,
then, and it's not like the taste buds were completely shut down, but they got brighter. Everything got a little brighter. The taste got a little bit clearer when I went through that. So this is kind of that journey story on the journey of personal transformation, and kind of what it looks
mhm,
like, at least for me, and some of what I feel like some of those principles are about, how we pass on stuff from generation to generation. So it feels like a lot of this
mhm,
stuff around cooking has to do with my mom's trauma, that got passed on to me, unbeknownst to me, right? Because had no cooking traumas in my life. It's like there's no reason why this would be there,
yeah,
right? There's no,
mhm,
like, I never got yelled at about how I cooked,
yeah,
you know, and ever since I started cooking, I've always gotten pretty positive feedback from it, right? But and then this thing came up specifically. I don't even remember it happening with my ex, to be honest with you. It specifically started happening with Jacqueline, and I do
mhm,
think it's because our relationship was on a level that was so deep and uh, karmic and uh, intense, and like just a deep, profound connection, that it was getting into those deeper things. You know what I mean? Like the
yeah,
deeper the connection, the deeper the trauma stuff that gets stirred up in you.
mhm,
Um, because you've opened your heart, because you've opened yourself, you've allowed that connection to happen on a deeper level. Of course, if there's wounding or scarring or unhealed things that are on deeper
yep,
levels, that's the person that's going to expose it. That's the relationship that's going to expose it. So that's happened, over time, right? And then the layers have gotten better, right? Because uh, of bringing consciousness, of bringing light to the dark. That's what they talk about, right? It's heaven into
mhm,
earth. It's not like, oh, we're going somewhere. It's like, how do you transmute this place into heaven within your own experience, right?
yeah,
And I don't even want to use that word, but into happiness, right? Into a greater
mhm,
sense of peace. And that peace is that peace
yeah,
that passes all understanding, right? So that's kind
yeah,
of what this whole thing was kind of about, right?
Yeah.
And how it looks, because it's kind of weird and it can happen in the weirdest places. Mine
Yeah.
happens to be in like how I'm cooking dinner, you know, the
and
most
and
practical.
yeah, and his mom was always cooking. Every time I go over there, she loved it
Yeah.
because when the boys come over, she wants to cook, so
Yep.
she cooked for us.
Yep.
We didn't argue, just so you know.
Yep.
We never argued about her cooking because it was so good. But us growing up, never realizing what she was going through.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
who knows what she was thinking when she was like, "I hope these guys enjoy it." We don't
Yeah.
know,
And we
but
never,
her
yeah.
what she was feeling, directly or indirectly, wound up with you, and now you're having to process it. Not that it was wrong with your mom,
Yep.
but that's one thing I just wrote down and said, if if you don't, if you're going through something, you don't understand what you're going through, maybe look back and see, what is there a family thing that
Yep.
happened back here.
Yep.
And then if you are going through something, okay, release it, so that it doesn't go on to your kids or the next generation or wherever you're working with, whoever you're with. So that's one of those big things of looking within you in that process,
Yep.
so that it
And
doesn't happen to the next generation.
yeah, and releasing is not a mental thing, it's a heart thing, right?
Hmm.
It's a
Yeah.
love, it happens inside you, and it's sort of it's hard to describe, and I think sometimes you have to do mental things like a prayer or forgiveness, and that's a mental process that
Hmm.
you're going through, but you know that it happens when you can feel you're shifted in your heart space,
Yeah.
and that opens up, and then
Mhm.
loving compassion arises. Um, do we have time for one
Yeah.
more? It's
Yeah.
connected, or should we wrap it? Are we wrapping?
Yeah. No, something go.
So so the other thing around food and cooking that is kinda interesting, it might actually, with my mom was, and I think I know I've told this story before, I know I've told this before, but it kinda fits in here a little bit as a, like a little bow tie on that thing, was
Hmm.
when I was addicted to crack and meth and all that. There was a period of time where I was on unemployment. So I'd gotten let go of a job because I was a drug addict. And,
What do I?
uh,
Yep.
not they didn't know, but it was related, obviously, performance and all that. But I was on unemployment, so I wasn't working. So I would go to her house and she would cook dinner, and then I would hang out, and then I would leave around 8:30 or something like that. I'd be there from like, let's say 5:30 to 8:39 or whatever. And then I would
Hmm.
go to this guy's apartment in the city, in San Francisco, and I would buy some crack, and then I would go home and I would smoke this crack till like 4 in the morning, and then I would go to sleep, and then I would wake up around 2 in the afternoon or something like that, and I would take a shower and I would go to my mom's. So this was a routine that I had for a while.
Wow.
And, I didn't think she knew that I was a drug addict at that time, and so that was the funny thing, because when I told Jacqueline this story, she was just like, "Yeah, right, your mom's sharp. There's no way." I remember Jacqueline said,
Yeah.
"There's no way in the world that
Yeah. No, your mom knows.
your mom
One,
has cop on," is the Irish
one,
expression.
moms know. Two, your mom knows.
Yeah.
You know. Three, you are reverse spotlight syndrome.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm good." And apparently, I used to fall asleep while she was cooking. Like, I would just
Oh my
nod
gosh.
out, and she said
Hmm.
she'd turn around. I knew this. So what my mom later on, when I got clean and I was with Jacqueline, one day we were sitting there, Jacqueline and I having dinner with my mom, and she's just, talking. She's like, "Yeah, like that those times when you were visiting me all drugged up and you thought I didn't know." And she just looking me right in the eye. She goes, "Yeah, that time period when you were on drugs and you kept coming over here for dinner." And I'm like, "Oh," and then Jacqueline's looking at me laughing, going, "I told you she knew." So my mom dropped that ball on me out of the blue just one day, just like,
Wow.
"Yeah, like those times when you were doing all those drugs and you coming over here."
Moms
Eh,
always have that in their back pocket to throw it at us
whew,
in a nice
and
way.
and
Just like,
moms always
yeah,
know, right?
I
And so
know.
here's a kinda funky thing. So she goes, "I know," she you know, as much as I love my mom, we had a little bit of a testy thing too. There was a testy
Hmm.
energy, and she knew that. And she goes, "I knew that if I tried to tell you to stop, or, what are you doing, and blah, 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 or scold you," she goes, "You'd just disappear. I'd never
Yep.
see you again." She goes, "So alls I could do was put all my love and make you the healthiest food filled with love that I could and serve it to you."
Wow.
And
Wow.
I
That's
pray
huge.
and I prayed that that food would, someday wake you up and
Mm.
help you to wake up so that you would not get caught. And she goes, "And I knew if I ever said anything, I would just lose you." So I never
Which
said
is
anything.
true, because you would have, and because I'm sorry, I was never a druggie, but you're in that state going like, "Screw you, I'm out of here."
Yeah. Yeah,
I'm not the
100%,
wrong one.
100% I
How dare
woulda.
you tell me that?
100% she is right.
Yeah,
So
and that was made with love,
yeah,
literally,
consciously, there was an
consciously made,
intention.
and praying over it. Just hey, I want this to be a good
Let this
thing.
be,
Boom, boom,
your
boom.
let
Yeah.
this transmute you, let this heal you. And so she did that for, probably like 6 or 8 months.
Wow.
There was a good chunk of time where I was going over there almost every day, because for me, it
Your
was like the
mom.
20 bucks I would have spent on my food, I was spending on my crack.
Yeah.
So so I was getting
Hmm.
free food and taking the money that I would have spent on the food, because I was on unemployment, so I had a very tight
Yeah.
budget. So I the money I spent on would have spent on food, I was going and buying my drugs with,
Yeah.
and I was still able to survive and eat. So I
Which
was
which in a other part of view, some a parent says, "I'm not going to give you food because you're going to spend that money on drugs.
Yep,
So you need to go blah 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 blah. You do
yep,
this, do that." Well, that's not helping really. In
yep,
most, some people do need that, but in your situation, your mom knew that he needs this piece of love.
yep,
Yes, he's going to go do his drugs, but even without her giving you food, you still would have done your drugs.
yeah.
So it's like at least she did that out of care, out of
It's
love. Going, I'm going
it's
to make this work.
it's to me a kind of wild example of unconditional love.
Yes.
Like, she was
Hmm.
just like, "I'm gonna let you do whatever you need to do, and I'm gonna
Hmm.
give you as much love as I can. I'm gonna infuse this food with you. I'm gonna give you as much nutrients as I can, healthy stuff, and pray and have faith that the higher power, God, is gonna take care of you, and you're gonna make it out." It's a pretty intense one, because obviously any parent that's ever had their child in any kind of trouble knows that you're gonna do everything you can to fix that,
Yep.
including a lot of times grabbing them and taking control, and I'm gonna ground you, and I'm gonna prevent you
Yeah.
from going out, and I'm gonna stop you because you know, you know, you don't have enough sense in this moment, and I'm gonna force you to have sense or whatever. And my mom didn't do that. She literally let me do, "You can walk off that bridge. I hope you don't fall."
Yeah.
I'm gonna pray
Yeah.
that you don't
When you
fall.
when you do a lot of that, break and hurt yourself, I got you after
Yeah.
that.
So it's
I'll
pretty
still
amazing.
take care of you. Yeah.
So that was sort of healing too, when that was food, but there was still this trauma of making food that I still feel like I got, that I was dealing with, and all this stuff. But anyway,
Mhm.
kind of wild stuff all around. So much
Yeah.
of it around food.
And I'll tell you, okay, 'cause we're do another sidebar real quick. Just moms, all you moms out there, God bless you. You
Yeah.
know, because I mean, I remember I was blessed, and I know you were too. I was so blessed that all my friends, the mothers, were so caring, and they all cooked for me or gave
Yeah.
that loving, like, okay, go ahead.
Uh,
In fact, like
Todd's
me
mom.
and another friend go do something, and they're like, go ahead, and then we come back. Okay, we were wrong. Sorry. I mean, I mean, of my
Brian's
side.
mom, Todd's
Okay,
mom.
on my side, Brian McGee's mom, David Hill's mom, Sheldon Joe's mom, my mom, to me and all my friends,
Yep.
you know, it was always that love.
Yep.
And they were all this now I look at it, they're all kind of the same people. It's
Yep.
so funny. But they would always tell us not to do things,
Yep.
or this is my advice, and we of course didn't take it 90% of the time.
Yep.
And but then it's like, okay, so now you're here. Let's get you back to where you need to be,
Yep.
or whatever it was. But it was that through love the whole time,
Yep.
and there wasn't always a yelling and anger. Rah, rah, rah. It was
Yep.
just
Yep.
okay, you stupid boy,
Yep.
let's get through this.
Yep.
So that's one other thing to look at. From even male and female side. You just come through it, give them love. There's going to be love. It's
Yep.
how you do it.
Yep.
So yes, you still got to be stern at times. I'm not saying don't just, but it's one thing to look at now that we've been talking about them. Like, wow, I just realized that all these mothers that I had
Yep.
to guide me through. And then Miss Green, my teacher, who I ran to during school instead of my mom when I got hurt, because mom taught at the same school, but Miss Green was my little teacher mom. So I went, but there's always that person. So
Yeah.
yeah, wow, I was blessed in life. So sorry about that. Went on a tangent.
Yeah. No, it's beautiful.
So the big thing going off of Sheldon, I'll give you a little bit of homework. Kind of already said it. You know, if you don't understand what's going on in something, it might be something from your parents or your
Yeah, you can
grandparents
look
or
at patterns.
something. Yeah, look at the pattern, and
Look at the
then
patterns.
say within you, how can I change that pattern so it
Yep.
doesn't, so that I can be on that journey of transformation,
Yep.
and have that peace and happiness.
And if
And as I do that, okay, you can release it so that it doesn't go on to the next
and
generation.
if you're
So
someone that is inclined towards prayer, that that
mhm,
might be where you're praying for, is
yep,
the release and the shift in the pattern, right?
Mhm.
You can see this energetic pattern, like, oh, that's a dynamic that my dad did, or my mom did, or whatever. And I feel like I carry some of that too. How do I
Mhm.
release that rather than just I want to force a change? How do I heal that? And can I
Yeah.
offer a blessing to my dad or my mom or whoever, and so you're blessing all the way down you're
Your
offering
your
love
your lineage all the way
through the
back.
whole
Yeah.
lineage with compassion, right? And then
Mhm.
compassion for yourself because you're seeing that it's still in you. And how do I release that? And
Yeah.
asking for help to release that.
I
And that,
am.
yeah,
I am. When I was younger, when I was, I think I was in college or maybe I was out of college at the time. I was talking to my mom. I don't know why my parents divorced. I never asked. I never cared. That was their problem because
mm-hmm,
they both loved on me and my brother totally.
mm-hmm,
Um, and so it wasn't our problem. That was
yep,
their problem,
yep,
which I learned. Which
yep,
I learned,
yep,
and I was like, when I got divorced, it was like, hey, this isn't her problem.
yep,
Let her live her actually live her life. It's me and Kristen's problem.
yep,
Um, but I remember going to my mom and sitting down, and I remember sitting at the counter. And I go, Mom, I got a question for you. As I really start dating seriously, what I'm going to do. Gonna marry someone one day. I go, I thought about a pattern. I go, Mom, did Dad abuse you? And she goes, oh, no, 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 no. Don't you ever think that about your father. He never touched me, never hurt me. It was just we had our differences. So know that he never abused you because I knew that that could be something that could be in me
yeah.
and not knowing. I mean, out of all the stuff I
Interesting.
burned
Yeah,
down, I asked her bluntly, did he abuse you? Because
yeah,
if so, I need
to be
to take
aware.
care of it. Because
Yeah,
if I saw it and not remembered it, because I may have
yeah.
blocked it, but she says, no, it was never an issue. So like there, I was okay going like, I can go forward and not worry about the situation.
Interesting.
Not that I was ever
Yeah,
that way to someone
yeah,
and thought that maybe I get it from him.
yeah.
No, just if I'm going forward and I get in this relationship, am I going to be abusive?
That's
From the
that's
pattern.
that's
So
some yeah, good awareness.
yeah,
That was a long time
I
ago.
guess I was smart once in my life. I guess I don't know.
That's cool.
So yeah, I was kind of like wow. I look back and like wow, that was so. Just know that that might be there. Okay, and so if you don't understand something like you're cooking, like why is this
Yeah,
cooking upsetting me? Well, look at your mom. Well, her mom went through this. That must be something.
yeah,
So work through it through you, so that as you go through it, it's really you're doing both. You're seeing the past and you're working through it with you, so that it doesn't continue on down the
yeah,
road.
yeah,
So
yeah,
that's your goal this week. That's your homework.
yeah.
Is just
Look for
kind of
those
pay attention.
patterns.
Yeah.
You look for
Look,
something that's bringing you out of peace,
yep.
uh, and you
Hmm.
don't understand why it's happening now. Look for patterns in your family that
Hmm.
might be something that's, whether you believe that or not, is you can see it helps to make sense of things because sometimes you don't understand, like you're saying, Dave, like why I
Yeah.
don't understand why this is happening, right?
Yeah.
But when you see it historically through the lineage, you can kind of it makes sense, and
Yeah.
then yeah, that helps. That helps to
It's
release things, right? So
it's
that's
just
definitely,
you're healing your lineage hurts.
yep,
If that makes even
yep,
sense because I know
yep,
there should be another word after hurts, but
yep,
you're healing the hurts of your lineage.
yep.
So yeah. So
Okay.
yeah, that's your goal this week. Hope you're all doing well, and I'm gonna give you. I'm gonna date this episode. So coming up is gonna be Christmas. So
Yep.
next time we talk, it'll be post Christmas.
Yeah.
Hope you guys have a great Christmas holiday, a Hanukkah holiday,
Yep.
whatever you're celebrating. And hope you're out there enjoying family. Make sure when you go into those gettings this week, okay, all those gatherings, go in with peace. Okay, I know it may be hard at some situations, but know where you are. Sometimes you can't control others. Try to control yourself. And if
Yep.
things get into a situation, you may have to leave a room. You may have to exit a whole situation.
Yep.
But just try to go in with peace this season.
Yeah.
Try to find that, peace and happiness somewhere within you.
Be the
So
light.
be the light because that will bring it out to others too.
You be
So,
that light. You be that light and share
yep,
that light. So,
exactly. So you guys have a good holiday. Have a good Christmas. I will tell you Merry Christmas.
Merry
Um,
Christmas, Happy Holidays, whatever that is for y'all. We love you. Thanks for tuning in.
yep. Have a great day. Love you.